Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded, many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
How long can he do it? A long time. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Good morning, and welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. How are things shaping up in your neck of the woods? Huh? Hey, it is a Tuesday edition, and boy, woo-wee. Let me tell you something. I'm still catching up from the weekend. That's right. What'd you do? If you weren't here yesterday, I'm nosy and I want to know. What was one highlight from your weekend? I want to know. I went I was emceeing. Ooh, I'm getting old. I'm not kidding you. I really am. I emceed this past weekend at the Accelerator Business Summit. It was my second year. Absolutely phenomenal. I met some great people. Destiny, there's Miss Destiny, who was in the Grammy Award-winning choir. It's the Chicago Soul Children's Choir, and they appeared at my Power of We Symposium. You saw the promo for that just a few minutes ago. She's 19 now. She was 17 year before last when she was on the stage at my event, and there she was at this event this year. So good to see you. And there's a look from the audience, from the stage. And then I met this guy, really great guy. Heath Treasure is his name, you guys. You can find him at the Heath Treasure. I'm headed out to Scottsdale, Arizona next month in November to hang with him at his event. I'm so excited. He is known as the Blue Collar Millionaire, and Google him and find out why. So anyway, yeah, that's where I was, but I'm here now. I'm here with you, and I don't think I'd rather be anywhere else in the world. Well, possibly Fiji. I think I would like to be in Fiji because it's 47 degrees this morning here in Chicago. I'm not kidding you. My fingers are wrinkly. It's that cold. Oh, my heater's going. I get my heater going, but it's supposed to get up to 73 today. So crossing my fingers. Anyway, I have a great show for you. A guest that I met, was it last month? Recently, when I was in Kansas City. You guys remember I was in Kansas City for the Becoming the Better You? That was my 4th year there. Shout out to Terrence Leftridge and the incomparable Brenda Ringwood and all of their team, the Avocados, Coffee Cup Chuck, all of them, right? All of y'all. Just a great time there. I hope you guys can join us there next year. But I met today's guest at that event. It was his first time. I believe he hooked up with Brenda a couple weeks prior. They were at the 10X thing somewhere down in Florida, maybe. And he's here today, first timer. His name is Caleb Bullard. Caleb Bullard. Mr. Bullard. KK to us. No, that didn't sound right. Caleb is going to come in here today. We're going to talk, don't run, about some good things. One of them being the financial work he does, but I'm really interested in his origin story. He is a believer. What did he tell me? Finally, someone who knows the meaning of a brief bio. Here's what he gave me. He's a Christian. He's an Army veteran. Thank you for your service, and thank you for your sacrifice, fellow veteran. He's a former police officer, and he says that he teaches the #1 financial hack of the wealthy so that you, yes, you, people just like you and I, can have the finances needed to dream again. Dream, 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 dream. Here he comes. Oh, and I'm sneezing, my allergies. Oh, you got a bathrobe on, Caleb.
Yep. Got to play the part, right?
Okay. Yes. Good to see you, man. How have you been since KC?
Oh, my goodness. God is good. Survived my first hurricane, about to survive the second. I feel like I'm a real Floridian now that I've been through my first hurricane and, about to go through the second here.
That was your first hurricane last week?
Yeah, I made the move down to Florida from New York about 5 months ago. I said, I'm tired of the snow. I want to see some sand and sun and get a little more than what I asked for. That's for sure.
Yeah, they forget to tell you that, huh?
Yep.
Well, I hope you brought some breakfast because I eat on this show. And hold on, you guys. grossest thing happened to me this morning. I was gonna have Special K. Had it all in the bowl, had my bananas cut up on top of it, went to pour my Fairlife milk, and I said, "It sure feels heavy," because it should only have like this much left. I said, "It sure feels heavy." No wonder. It was one solid chunk of milk. It had curdled. Right. So I got grossed out, and I'm having oatmeal instead. So what are you having for breakfast? Put it in the comments. So, Caleb, I do a little thing here on Bathrobe Moments where I dip out for about 60 seconds and allow you, the guest, to just create a vibe with the audience, speak from your heart, pour in, and just what are you feeling this morning? And then I'll come back, usually pick up something you left out there, and we'll start the interview. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, all you take it away, Caleb.
Hey, everybody listening in. Let's clap up for Dr. Lauren putting this show on, bringing you guys a bunch of value. If you got any friends, family that you know could benefit from learning some financial advice, let's get them on this call. Let's send them a text. Let's shoot them a DM. Let's help encourage Dr. Lauren by showing her how much we love this show, by getting all these people on the call. Let's break any records as far as audience goes. I'm really excited to open up to you guys and just show you some things that I had to find the hard way. I want to share with you so you don't have to yourself. Man, I'm so thankful to be on the show with Dr. Lauren, get to talk to you guys, share a little bit about my story, and then just provide as much value as possible. So make sure you're pulling up your pen, pulling up your notepad, taking some good notes, because it's not good enough just to listen. We want to be note takers. Note takers are money makers, right? And then we got to implement it. So super excited for you guys to have this opportunity to be a part of this show. Take it away, Dr. Lauren.
Wow. He might be after my job. What do y'all think? Very nicely done, Mr. Caleb. But I want to go back because you've done, how old are you? You can't be more than 20-something.
Yeah, I'm 27.
27, and you've been in the Army. Check. You've been a police officer. Check.
Yep.
And now you're in the finance world. Check. Or cash. Or credit. You take it all.
Right.
So let's go through how you've done so much in such a short time. How long were you in the military? A couple years?
Yeah, I was actually in for 6 years. I was in the Army as a combat medic for 6 years, serving with the infantry.
And you were a medic?
Yep.
Had nothing to do with finance.
Nothing to do with finance.
And then you got out and you became a police officer.
Yep. Yeah, went to college.
It had nothing to do with finance.
Nothing to do with finance.
So you went through blood and gore.
Yep.
Then you went through chasing criminals and scary things on the streets.
Yep.
And then you pulled up to the biggest demon of them all, finances. I'm kidding. They scare the shit out of me.
Right.
The whole thing with spreadsheets or where you nope. I'm not good at it. I'm just being honest. It scares the heck out of me. But thank God for people like you. So let's go before we get to the finances. So when you left the military, what had you learned? You didn't want to go. You didn't want to stay clearly inside of the healthcare field, right?
Correct. Yeah. As a medic, I got to see the insides and outs of the healthcare field. When I got out of the Army, I used my knowledge as a combat medic to become an EMT. Did that for a little bit while I was in college, and I said, I don't want to be in the healthcare life. There's a lot, like, you talk to nurses, different things like that. Like, you want to do the best things for patients, and unfortunately, sometimes you're prohibited to help people the best way that you know how. And I was like, I want to be able to help people, but also not just by myself. And even though it was like in the back of my brain, being like, there's only so many people that I can help by myself. At the same time, like I still from a kid, that's why I got into the Army. I had a huge love for our country. Mm-hmm. Watching all the war movies, having a dad as a former jarhead, a former Marine, if you guys know what that term.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And I said, right out of high school, I was like, I want to get into the military. I want to serve my country. I was really excited. Got in and served my 6 years. And man, if anybody here is looking at joining the military, it was a phenomenal experience. You're going to learn so much discipline, all the core values. Each branch has its own element, its own culture, but they're all amazing in their own ways. and you're going to walk away with several benefits as well. I mean, one really huge benefit that happened for me was getting the VA loan, right, from serving my country, be able to, get a house with 0% down, get a duplex house hack, all those things that I've learned in the military, some benefits that I received have set me up for, a much bigger success than if I hadn't have joined. So
I agree. And not to mention the medical.
Yeah. That's good stuff to know regardless.
Yes. And I'll still let you stay on the show, even though you were in the Army and not the Air Force. But I mean, somebody's got to clean our boots. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, the air, don't hate. Aim high, okay? Aim high, fella. Aim high. I'm just kidding. So then you get out, and did you go straight into law enforcement? How did that come about?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I realized that my dad was a police officer growing up, and I got to see the lives that he changed, and got to hear the stories from not only himself but his coworkers, and I was like, that sounds really cool to me to be able to make continue to make a difference with my life, and have a good salary to be able to take care of a family one day, all that stuff, right? Because you're gonna help all the people you want, but you got to help yourself first before you can help others. So if you're in a position where you can't take care of yourself, it's kind of hard to take care of other people.
Amen.
So I went to college, I got my degree.
And
what's that?
What was your degree in?
I actually got it in science. So I was torn between doing law enforcement and being a physician's assistant. So I was like, since my 60 credits can be in anything, I might as well go to be a doctor or something like that, continue that medical journey, maybe change some things in the industry that I saw that, maybe I could, improve on. And then if, I decided to go law enforcement instead, I'd have that option because I'd have my, degree. I would just have to go through the police academy, get hired by a police department. And I ended up choosing the latter.
So you're like, maybe I'll be a doctor. Wait, I could be an astronaut. Wait, I think I might be a farmer. It was like you were just, none of them were in the same category. How interesting. You're very eclectic.
Yes.
So do you feel you have found your niche?
I definitely have. For those that are listening, and something that I've realized, and it's kind of hard to see when you're going through it, but looking back, it's a lot easier to recognize this. But I feel like God has a path for all of us.
Oh yeah.
And it's up to us to decide, and look at it and be like, okay, let me trust that God's fulfilling his will in my life. And, that was with the Army. I was learning valuable things. I had no idea how God was gonna be able to use that today. Same thing as a police officer. And I was able to, learn a lot of great things that are helping me now, grow my business. But there was an epiphany moment that kind of shifted things for me. Because like you said, I was thinking about doing this, thinking about doing that, got into becoming a police officer, did that for a while. But the Lord allowed a back injury to happen while I was in the Army. And it just continued to get worse over time while I was in law enforcement as a police officer. And I don't know if any of you guys have had back pain. It's not fun. But I realized really quickly that, with the weight of the vest, the belt, all that on my lower back, I need to make a change. And when I thought about all that, I was looking at different options, and God kind of showed me hey, here's what I want for you, by allowing, COVID-19 to happen and the markets to crash, and me seeing, I don't know if you guys have any grandparents that, you saw the markets affected in COVID-19, and the markets crashed and people's 401ks dropped. A lot of people, like my grandparents, had to come out of retirement to work a part-time job while they're waiting for the market to recover. And that hurt me to see that. I don't want to, have to see that to anybody else. I want that to happen to me down the road. So I started getting into the financial services space, and it was a whole journey trying to find the right company to be at, because it's not enough just to make good money. You want to be with people that you enjoy. You want to be with a family that's going to push you and grow you in all categories, not just in finance, but to grow you into the best person, the best version of yourself possible for your faith, your family, finance, fitness, fun, all of it. It's not good enough just to have one. If you got a sour relationship, if your health isn't great. And now I'm loving it. I'm exactly where I know I need to be, and just continue to grow within the industry.
So when you were a police officer, what exactly were you on patrol? Did you work in the station? What kind of police work did you actually do? And why did you leave it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Lauren. So I was a patrol officer for a small suburban town near Buffalo, New York, back when I was back up in Buffalo, like I was talking about. And the reason I left was only because of that back injury. I was working at a couple departments, and I realized that I just couldn't continue to do this. I ended up dropping down to part-time at one department because I thought maybe I could get my back healed and then get back into it full-time, but realized that as much as I love the job, I want to be able to make more of a difference than I can just by myself. I always tell people, like, if you had two buildings, and let's say one building had 50 people in it, and the other building had 10 people in it, and they're both on fire, we could save one building. Which one do you want to save? Obviously, you want to save the one with more people, right? But you can't do that all by yourself. I mean, if you're into that building, there's smoke, there's fire, it gets hotter and hotter over time, walls are collapsing, and you might get a few people out. But imagine how many more people you could help if you had a team with you doing it. So I realized in the financial services industry, you can actually grow a team and actually help more families than you possibly could by yourself, which I thought was amazing, be able to make an even bigger impact than you can by yourself. And I don't know if any of you guys remember sitting in church at all as a kid, but there was one church service as a kid that really stuck out to me. And there was a pastor talking about being a missionary and just, asking people if they might have, feel called to do something like that with their lives. And I knew, from a young age that I was called to make a difference. I just didn't know what that would be. I was like, maybe this is a missionary. But I got to, see a lot of missionaries as my family was pretty involved with our church growing up, and kind of see like the work that they're doing. And I loved it. I couldn't support it enough. Was very fortunate to go on mission trips to actually see the needs of people in third world countries. But something I realized is, like, going back to that story, there's only so much of a difference that you can make by yourself.
Yeah.
If I get myself into a point where I got my finances right, I got a team who got their finances right. Now we're helping other people. We can start a way bigger movement and impact way more lives in these third world countries than I could ever do by myself. And one thing I really like about my company in the financial services space I'm in, you can see the sign behind me, Real Financial, but we're able to go in and actually show people step by step how to become financially free, and then also provide this opportunity to other countries. We're in Canada, Mexico, going to a bunch of other countries as well that normally wouldn't have this kind of an opportunity to learn this financial information that's game changing. It's for a long time, it's only been, accessible to the wealthy to learn all these different programs, how to structure retirement properly where you're not affected by the markets. But now it's becoming more common. It's becoming more known.
Why was this thing only accessible by the wealthy?
It's just because it's not taught in schools. It's not taught in college. So it's almost like a pay to play kind of game. And when you get into those circles of the wealth, you start to learn these things. And that's what I had to do. I had to get into a space to actually learn this, and then realize, like, the financial services industry actually makes more millionaires than any other vehicle out there. So real estate, other vehicles that I thought were going to be the road for me to be able to make a big difference with my life, not so. It was actually financial services. So as I got into different circles, when I transitioned from law enforcement into the financial services, I started going to events. Like, I never heard about personal development. I never knew what that was. I don't know if you guys, some of you guys are out there. I'm sure if you've listened to Dr. Lauren's show, you know what that word means, because she's all about helping you grow and become the best version of yourself. Exactly what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago at the BTBY conference where I met Dr. Lauren. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to figure out where was I going with that, Dr. Lauren?
I think I know where you were going, because I'm right there in the sidecar with you. Is about finding that place where you can make a difference, but also build a decent lifestyle. We can say it. We can put it out there. There's nothing wrong with being successful. There's nothing wrong with the M word, money. I don't believe it is the root of all evil. I think what you do with it, you know what I mean? When you abuse it, that's the root. But I know with more money, you can help more people. You can ease more suffering. So, and you're not even 30 years old yet. So you're still a youngster, pretty much. But I want to ask, because your faith is a big piece for you. So you already divulged that you grew up in a church family, this, that, and the other. So what denomination?
Yeah, I grew up Baptist, and I just realized that.
Glory! Sorry. I was triggered. Sorry. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I got one for no matter what you'd have said. I have something for each, but that's my Baptist one. But anyway, go ahead. I'm being silly.
So I grew up Baptist. I got a lot of friends.
Glory. Sorry. Every time you say that word, it's gonna happen.
I got a lot of friends that are still Baptist, but I found myself as I drew closer to the Lord, realizing that I feel like everybody's relationship with their father is a little bit differently. I mean, if you have siblings, you know that each of you, as siblings, have different relationships with your parents. Not that your parents don't love any of you less or more than the other, but it's just we're all different. So I found with my relationship with the Lord, non-denominational was the path that He wanted me on. And ever since I started going to non-denominational churches, I started like growing way more in my faith and learning way more than I had like my whole lifetime growing up inside of a Baptist church. It was more so of me doing my own learning than compared to taking what somebody else
finding a good fit for yourself.
As truth.
So how did your family feel about you converting?
Yeah. So that's a point of contention a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're happy that I still have my faith. I still care about the things of the Lord. And, no matter what, you're always going to have differences, with people. You're never going to agree on everything 100%, but it's just finding the things you have in common and focusing on those.
Well, what about this one? I know at these events, because the one you met me at was not your first event. You've been to several, I'm sure. Now, you meet a lot of people who are of the spiritual nature at these things. How different, is it difficult for you to mix and mingle with spiritually based people as opposed to structured religion?
Yeah, one thing that I love is because I was in the Army and I got to experience diverse cultures, diverse religions, people that weren't religious at all.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in law enforcement as a police officer. Those experiences are helping me now so much because I would be so hesitant now to maybe reach out to somebody that didn't believe exactly how I believed if I never had those experiences. I would still be thinking in the way that I grew up and kind of like holding myself back. But if you look at in the Bible, like the Lord goes to everybody. He doesn't discriminate with who He talks to, who He befriends, who he helps and encourages. So at events, like I'll go up to anybody and everybody and talk to them, and you never know where that conversation is going to lead. I mean, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about Dr. Lauren before, the BTBY event, and we just started talking. And one thing leads to another. Now we're on the show providing you with a lot of value. So I encourage you, never judge anybody. I mean, I had nothing to judge Dr. Lauren by, but I'm just saying in general, never judge like a book by its cover. I was able to meet a lot of people there that normally growing up, maybe it was like I would have been outside of my comfort zone to talk to, a certain person based on what you call like stereotypes, things like that. But because I've gotten outside of my shell and I've realized that like you can't it's like don't reject a package because of the packaging.
Yeah.
Thing I heard the other day.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful to hear you say that. Thank you for that. I'm gonna ring the bell of purpose. There you go. Because a lot of times, and so many of us who are spiritual based people today began in an organized religion. It's what got us here. It was the launching pad. And the thing that I don't miss, I'll just keep it real, is that because I was raised a Seventh-day Adventist, and it's like you might as well say you were in a cult. That's what people think, Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventist, Scientology, Mormons, they put us all in. That's like the weird ones, or so they think. But I will say this. The one thing that I did not like was that it was like, if it's not our way, it's the wrong way. Oh, shame on you. Y'all gonna burn in hell. Ooh, you're too worldly. All of this kind of stuff. When really, I just love to love, and I love to be loved, and I love to introduce people I love to other people I love, and that's just it. It's all about agape, unconditional brotherly love. It just really is, and so that's what I seek. That's what I seek, and then just if you're busy easing suffering in the world, you really don't have enough time to point fingers and judge, and who has that kind of time or energy? I don't. So what is and then we'll switch up here, but what is the number one thing that you love about having a container to live within known as faith?
Yeah, it's everything to me. I was just at church this past Sunday and they were talking about the Holy Spirit and how he's the great comforter. And I personally don't know, it's different for different people, but for me personally, I don't know how people make it through life with, especially with latest times. I mean, all these, natural disasters happening with, pandemics, just there's all so much stuff that happens to us during life.
Mhm.
And without having like Christ, without having my relationship with him going through all of it, I can guarantee you that I would not be here like bringing value to people. And that's just my testimony. And I know there's a lot of other people that are like that as well. So for me, it's everything. That's the cornerstone of everything that I do. And without it, everything else would crumble.
Mm. Do you only date people who are of the same faith?
I personally do, just because in regards to your core values, I tell people, whether it's business, a personal relationship, if you're going to be, buying like, mentorship, whatever that looks like, just make sure that your core values are in alignment. And I think that that's the biggest thing. So when you could be even dating, somebody of faith, but your core values don't align. Just because just because somebody's a Christian or is a business owner that says they're a Christian doesn't mean that they're doing everything that a Christian should be doing.
That's true. So, some are just pew sitters.
Right. So I always tell people that your actions speak louder than words. So I don't care if somebody just started going to church or somebody's been in church 20 years. I look at somebody's actions and what do they do? What are they doing? And that tells me, okay, can I trust this person? Do I want to get into a relationship with them in business? Mm-hmm. Do I want to bring them on as a coach? Do I want to, pursue dating this person? And, if those core values line up, then everything's going to work out. And the biggest thing to me is inside of a relationship, if somebody is pursuing God and their relationship with him, I know that they're going to treat me well, right? Because if they're putting him first in all that they do, there's no way that they can't treat me right. They wouldn't be doing me wrong on purpose, things like that. So I really evaluate the person's relationship with the Lord when it comes to dating, and on the business side, making sure my core values align with that person, whether they're a Christian or not.
Well, here's our transition question, but it speaks to both. It speaks about the core value, the religious side, but also now we're moving into the finance side. So let me ask you this. Do you tithe on a regular basis?
Yes. So I do 10%. I would like to do more. It's just where I'm at right now in my faith, and that's something that I'm working on growing personally. But I think that you just do what you can where you're at, and I feel like it even talks about in the Bible where God says, like, prove me, in these certain areas. And the more you give to him, and it doesn't have to be money. It can be time. It can be time spent helping other people. I mean, our church has been actively involved with helping people that just had their homes destroyed by the past hurricane. Now we're facing another one. So getting involved in your community and making a difference, that could be, your version of tithing. So, it talks about giving of the first fruit. So like God gives you time. He woke you up today. There's other people in this world that didn't wake up, and just do what you can to help make the world a better place with the gifts that God has given you.
I agree. Tithing is not just monetary. And a lot of people don't realize that you give what you can. The widow mite story. That will help you with that. Yes. So, okay. So let's go over to the financial thing. When you say financial services, that could mean a plethora of different things. And usually the person is, we all know they're selling something. They have a product. Whenever somebody says financial services, there is a product. Can you explain what are the top 3 products or financial services that most people are familiar with?
Yeah, I'll start with the one that's nearest to my heart. I told you guys that story about my grandparents and how they had to come out of retirement and work a part-time job while they're waiting for the market to recover. Yeah. So probably our top product is our indexed growth options, where we're going to put you into a program that grows tax-free, can be withdrawn tax-free. But you're also going to see this index-like growth. That's what the wealthy use. You're going to see a stair-step-like growth, where if the market goes up, you go up with it. If it goes down, you stay flat. You lock in all of your gains. Then if it goes up again, you go up with it. And over time, there's a huge difference between that and a volatile market. So a volatile market could be anything like a mutual fund, crypto, anything tied to the market that goes up and down. When I ask people, if you don't know what your account balance is going to be tomorrow, if you can't tell me down to the penny what's going to be tomorrow, like how can you tell me that you're going to have enough when it comes to retirement? You can hope, that everything, works out the way that you want it to, but who's to say that, the year you're trying to retire, something happens, a pandemic, and the markets crash, and now you're like, oh, gotta wait a few more years to retire. So it's things that younger people usually don't think about. But as you get closer to retirement and you're in it, those are things that you really want to focus on, and not having to stress over a presidential election, over different things that could affect the economy. And you know that your nest egg, your really hard worked for money, is protected from anything happening. Then we also, just talked about, protection. We want to make sure that people's assets are protected. We provide people with, wills and trusts, making sure that they're set up so God forbid something happened to them, they can avoid the probate process of the state, holding everything up from transferring to their family, and the state coming in and taking, their fair share from, your estate. So our goal is to really help put people in the best position that are, reaching retirement or already in retirement, but we do help everybody overall. So that's kind of like my niche because it's near and dear to my heart. But there's really 5 main things that we do, and just to kind of rattle them off real quick here, Dr. Lauren.
Okay.
So the first one is we focus on that index growth. We do fixed annuities, which is like a pension plan. It's that same idea. Now you do have to pay, the difference on that in another product I'll mention shortly. It's just to pay the taxes when you withdraw from it, but you have a guaranteed amount of money that you'll have every single year, regardless of how the market performs. Now, if the market performs better, that means it grows even more, but you always know what you're going to have. Then we do what's something called indexed universal life. And as long as it's structured the correct way, there's ways to structure it the wrong way. And I feel like that's why they've gotten like a bad rap. As long as you're with a trusted financial strategist and doing your own due diligence as well, and maybe reading the different books and educating yourself. There's one free book that I'd like to give everybody that reaches out to me from this show. I'll give you a free copy of it because for everybody's financial awareness. Yep.
We love free stuff.
We will be dropping like a little link at the end. Just reach out to me. Let me know you're on the show with Dr. Lauren, and I'll get that over to you ASAP. And the other things that we do is basic, term policies. So we do term with living benefits, and people ask, well, what's living benefits? Everybody knows what term insurance is. It covers you for a certain amount of period. Well, with living benefits, if you ever experienced a critical, a chronic, or terminal illness, something like a cancer, heart attack, stroke, or maybe it's something more chronic,
right?
Well, you can access your death benefit to use while you're alive. So instead of needing the money now to go to the best treatment facility, needing the money now to take care of your family and put them in the position that you want them to be in before passing away or trying to recover, we have that program available to you. We do mortgage protection as well, which is really cool because it's to me it's a no-brainer. The way it works is if you have a 15-year mortgage, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you get a term of this return of premium policy, this mortgage protection policy. That's the length of your mortgage. Maybe it's a car loan, maybe it's student debt. And worst that happens is if you pass away, that death benefit covers the mortgage, covers that car loan. So your family's not getting displaced. They now have a vehicle that's paid off. They don't have to worry about, your debt passing on to them. And then best case scenario.
Get away from here. I'm not dead, you see. As soon as you start talking about that stuff, they're out. Get out of my yard.
I love it.
I'm kidding because what I wasn't kidding about was my face when you started going into all that. That's exactly what happens when I'm with my insurance guys. That's exactly what happens when I'm with the CPA. It's exactly what happens when I'm with the tax preparer. Why is it, Caleb, that so many of us, I'm serious. For a second, I think I was going to have to go, excuse me. Do you run into a lot of people who just are staring at you like, what in the world when you're talking?
Yeah, and I feel like it's really important to use stories. I mean, in any industry, they always say stories sell, facts tell. So if I can talk about these benefits and use a story to explain these benefits, maybe a previous client that I had that, experienced, maybe they never got the policy and something bad happened. I can, use stories like that. I also use the flip side where somebody got a policy and shortly after they're so thankful they did because something did happen and now they have that money to use while they're alive. Or if the market crashed, they're like, I'm so thankful I moved these funds over because I would be, negative 30% in my accounts right now if I didn't. So it's just using stories. Not if they're not mine, then they're one of my coworker stories or one of my mentors.
Sure.
Stories.
Could you hear them all?
Yep. Yep.
So let me use a story that's in our family right now. We were talking about it just last night. A lot of you know my story. I came through foster care, 22 moms, but so I have two major families. Family number one, that I was raised in until our mom died when I was 11, and then family number two, which was really my biological family, but I didn't find them until I was 32. So I have 5 siblings in each, right? And I'm the anchor kid in each family. So I have a bird's eye view of what they've done or not done. And now those siblings are all aging. They're all in their late 70s, early 80s, right? And I hate to say it, but a lot of them don't have anything in place. And now it's falling to their care. It's falling to their kids. You see what I'm saying? And their thing, I need somebody to come in, to take care of her, to do this and to do that, her hygiene, her cooking, all these things. And the prices are astronomical. And they don't know what I can't move her in here. I don't have, well, you take her. You know, it's like really, it's a lot of things all at once. It's a lot. Can you talk a little bit about what conversations you're having with people today? Let's say people who have aging parents, you know, that are in their parents are in their early 70s, moving towards that. What do people need to do to be prepared nowadays? Because we're living longer. Yes.
Yes, 100%. So something that people don't talk about is putting coverage on your parents. Because at the end of the day, your parents are going to be in a position more likely than not where they need help, they need assistance as they're getting older. And most people, they pass away from one of those critical, chronic, or terminal illnesses. It's very rare to have an accident. That's like the exception to the rule, right?
Right.
You have a much higher chance of just passing away from a natural death from one of those three, the critical, chronic, or terminal illnesses that we mentioned. So what you could do, as long as your parents are still healthy, you could put some coverage on them with living benefits. So that, hey, maybe 15, 20, 30 years from now, they're not going to be in the same great health that they are today. But because I put this policy on them with living benefits, well, when they get sick, when they need assisted living, when they need all these different things, now we're going to be able to access this death benefit to use for these costs so that we're not.
While they're alive.
While they're alive.
What is that called that you're describing?
It's a term policy with living benefits.
So is this an insurance?
Yes, this is an insurance policy, and it uses that death benefit while you're alive. That's what the rider of the living benefit allows you to do, is take care of your parents. And people don't think about that. They think about, I'll put coverage on me, but what about your parents? If they haven't done it for themselves, or they're kind of stuck in their ways, well, you're going to be the one responsible taking care of them.
Got that right.
So I'm sure no parent would be opposed to you putting on maybe a $20 or $30 a month policy on them, just to have something in place to cover the financial stress focused on enjoying those final years with them.
I put 4 additional policies on myself in the last year. 4. Just because, and I'm a veteran, so all this and all that's covered, but still, because every day this world changes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And we are, again, living a lot longer than we used to. But let me go back to when you said put this on your parents. How does a person find out? Because, parents still think they run everything. Even when you can be 60 and they can be 80 something, they still go to your room. And you're a grown ass man or woman.
Right.
So what I'm getting at, how do you get that conversation going? Because all of a sudden now you want access to everything that was never none of your business.
Right.
As a kid, Mom, Dad, let me look all up in your finances. Right. So how do you get them to the point where they feel comfortable divulging these secretive, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's not as easy as it sounds, I have a feeling.
So
have you encountered this?
In some ways it is difficult. I mean, it's definitely difficult if you're not going to, use, the triangle. So when I talk about the triangle, it's kind of creating, so if you think of the top of the triangle, it would be like the financial guru, whoever has the credibility. because your parent probably isn't going to listen to you when it comes to money or finances, like Dr.
Right.
said. So
I was doing my finances before you were even thought of.
yep.
It was good enough for my dad. It's good enough for me.
But the only problem is even though, being the financial specialist and having the credibility, if I don't have the trust, your parents probably aren't going to listen to anything that I say. But if you can come along, maybe you yourself, come to a financial call and, see exactly how we help families in detail more than just surface level what we're talking about. And, take some of the information, be like, hey, mom and dad, I've got this financial specialist. I want you guys at least listen to them and kind of like see if there might be better ways to do things. And that way they're bringing the trust, the financial specialist brings the credibility. And now when you marry those two, it's a lot easier to get the parents on a call to kind of look at things and maybe review things. And it's just asking the right questions too, right? To get them to come to realizations on their own. It's not telling them something. It's just asking questions for them to work through the thought process on their own. Like, oh, maybe what I have isn't going to be good enough for, 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road. How
many siblings do you have?
I have 3. I got 3 wonderful siblings. Got my oldest sister with a couple nieces and a nephew. Man, they're some great kids. And got my younger brother who's actually a police officer as well. And then my younger sister, she's actually local here in Florida.
4 of y'all. Okay. And your parents are still together?
Yep. Very good.
Let's say, God forbid, let's just hypothetical. We're using your family as a hypothetical. Let's say your parents both passed away.
Yep.
And it's the 4 of you kids. What happens? I mean, so because you're the financial guy. So let's use your family as an example. Let's say this happened. And this time next week, you were dealing with these situations. Which one of you knows where to go to find what? Because what's it under? How's it labeled? Where is it? Is it in a shoebox? Is it in a file? Is it on a thumb drive? Is it in a safe deposit box? Did Aunt Clara, is she, now who's the medical power of attorney? Who's the financial power of attorney? How have you guys started talking about this already in your family?
Yes, I was actually just on the phone with my dad last week, and same thing. They're not really going to want to listen to you, but like over time, you start to build that credibility and trust. And
so you were getting some pushback from dad?
Oh yeah. And in the beginning, but now I'm able to have much more open conversations with him because he knows, I have the credibility in my market. I'm doing this for a while now. So Bill, just talk to him, like same thing, like just ask different questions and, find out, okay, he has this coverage. Okay, perfect. Is there any way I can make that coverage better? He had something before I even got into this space. So I just wanted to make sure that if I can't beat that, we keep that in place. We lock that in. And then also making sure that he has a trust and a will set up, because if he doesn't, then like you said, everybody's left scrambling, trying to figure things out. I've seen it, somebody might pass away and they don't have a will set up, and the family's like fighting over like the money when they should be mourning the person's loss. That's the last thing that the deceased wanted to happen, is
exactly
fight over who gets the house, who gets this, who gets that. We're all about trying to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. It's all about overcoming the objection before it happens, is what we talk about in sales and in life. If you can stop a problem from happening, then why would you want the problem to happen if you can avoid it? So
if you can avoid it,
hey, make sure you have a will, make sure it's notarized so that's legitimate, and then put it in a place where your family knows where it's at. Maybe review it with them, or if you don't want to review it with them, just at least let them know, hey, this is my wishes, this is where it is. If anything happens, you can access it here and then fulfill, my request.
It's uncomfortable for a lot of people, because they're like, why are you talking about what? Do you think I'm about to die or something? Everybody takes it personally. It's kind of like as soon as you hear the opening words, you also hear the organ. Da 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 da. You know what I mean? And it shouldn't be that way. What can we do to remove some of the stigma? Because there is stigma around talking about these things. You call her. I don't want to talk to her about that. You know what she's going to say. Ain't none of your bit. You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah.
And what if your parents don't have anything in place, but they're pretending like they do?
Yeah. So that's something definitely to watch out for. And that's why if you put something on them, like let's say that they do already have something, but you wanted to add to it, you can add to it. You can make them the insured of the policy. You're the owner of the policy. as well as the beneficiary. So
you can do this without their permission.
You would want to have their permission. You want to make them informed, but I don't know any parent that would say no to you putting more,
insurance on them.
Yeah, more.
But do they have to know about it? Is that a law or something? I'm just curious.
They don't have to know about it.
They don't have to sign anything.
Right. The only thing that they would have to know is like that they're like the child would have to have their information. They would have to have, their medical documents, all of that, put that stuff in place. And I would recommend having having all parties informed. But if the child had the parent's information, they could set up a policy for their parent.
So if there was like 4, like in your family, and you each put $30 a month on, that's a great way to carry the expense without it falling on just one person.
Correct.
And you work with people on that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Okay. How different is it today, Caleb, than say just 10 years ago? Because a lot of people have stuff in place that's just been riding. I remember back when the insurance man used to come to our house with his little book and write stuff in there, and my mom would pay him, and then he would give her a receipt and leave, because there was no internet or anything then. So what is it like? How different is it today? Is this stuff changing rapidly? Something that if you have done something that was some decades ago, you might want to look into what's currently working for folks?
100%. So I tell people every single year, you want to review, we call it re-diming yourself. You want to look at your debt because your debt changes from year to year. Look at your income. Your income might have gone up. Look at your any kind of mortality. So if you want to be buried, if you want to be cremated, how much money do you want to set aside for your funeral? God forbid something happens to you. And at the end of the day, we all are going to shuffle off this mortal coil at some point. And then last is education. Anything you want to leave behind for your family. So every year we review that. And if it increases, so let's say that somebody's income increases. Well, now we want to have that same level of income that the family's used to, good to go for a minimum of 10 years for the family to make sure that spouse or the kids are taken care of if the main breadwinner passes away.
Well, I even heard a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, he was saying that they put policies on all of their grandchildren. Yep. Like $25 a month, just this and the other. So it works in both directions.
Yes.
Because when they pass, it's still there. The parents can pick it up and it's already started. All kinds of things like that. What would you say? Boy, this hour is flown by. We got 5 minutes. Let me ask you this. What would you say is the biggest obstacle, drawback, that keeps people from making these necessary types of decisions? What is it? Why is it so many people leave this world with nothing in place?
Yeah, it's actually something that's sad to talk about is people wait. So success loves speed, right? Action takers are money makers. And if you have the right information, but you don't implement it, I could give you the best plan in the world. I could show you no matter what just make up some scenario of okay, from step A, from where you are here, if you go to step Z and you actually follow the step-by-step instructions, I'll get you to whatever dream, wherever you want. Well, if you never take those steps, it doesn't matter what plan's given to you, you're never going to see the results. So our goal here is to show you a roadmap and show you, everything, but you can lead the horse to the water. You can't make them drink is what we talk about. But the best thing that you can do is take action today. Literally, our next breath is never guaranteed to be given to us. Anything can happen. I was just talking to a lady yesterday, and she was telling me a story about her son was just walking down the street in the sidewalk and just wrong time, wrong place. And there was a drive-by, and her son lost his life at 17 years old. Now, that was completely unexpected. She didn't have anything in place. She had to start a GoFundMe because she didn't have the finances to cover it.
See that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if she would have had something in place, then her family would be taken care of. She wouldn't be, having to stress, how am I going to get this funeral paid for? She'd just be mourning her son and holding her family together at that point. And there's problems that people don't think about, and it's my job to make you aware of them. It's not fun, but it's fun once you have them handled and hey, in the future, I know I'm good to go. I know I'm protected. I won't have to worry about worst case scenario because I've already handled the problem ahead of time.
Peace of mind.
Yes, peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Peace of mind. On the screen, you guys, up top is tell them what that is. My new retirement.com. He says there's some videos and stuff there. What do they find when they click on that?
Yep. So I actually made a short webinar for you guys just to kind of like go a little bit more in detail into what we talked about today. It'd be a great way for you to, learn. It's about 10 minutes long. There's a quick little 1-minute video that gets you in, put your name, put your email, get you access to this webinar. Watch it, take some notes, and then reach out to me. It's got my Instagram scrolling on the bottom. That's probably like the best way to reach out to me. And then I'll get you that free book. I want to get you guys, to raise your financial awareness a little bit, even if we don't get on a call. But for the first 10 people that reach out to me, I'll get you the free book. I'll personally myself run a financial review call with you over Zoom virtually. That's another way our industry has changed. We've had the opportunity to, instead of only being able to drive to certain house or drive to houses, now we can jump on Zoom. So you could be across the country. I'm here in Florida. You could be in Texas, and I can help you without having to
right there.
It's amazing. So at any time, you can reach out to me. We got phone, text. We can review your stuff and make sure that you're in the best position possible, even if you already have something set up. And one last thing that I wanted to mention, as a lot of people might say, hey, I have something through work, like I'm good. Well, I'll ask you this, like if you got sick, you experienced one of these critical, chronic, or terminal illnesses, and do you think that you're going to continue to work at that company during that time? You're probably going to end up leaving it. You might get fired because you can't just do your job the same way you could. All these doctor's visits, appointments, and you'll lose that coverage. We want to have you get something that's independent of anything else, independent of any kind of military benefits, independent of any kind of job, to make sure that you're protected and you're the sole, owner of that policy, and there's nobody else that can mess with it.
And don't wait until you hear that. Don't wait. Don't wait till there's a bunch of wolves in the front yard, because they know the upper room is headed your way. Start today. Yes. Don't be afraid of these things. Hey, it's a part of life. It's a part of life, and it is a big part of the quality of your life. You can be alive and not have quality, and it's something you probably don't want or didn't expect. So get in there, have these conversations, starting with Caleb. He's there to help you, and I know his heart. So there you go. We have taken the liberty of dropping this link that you have scrolling right now. It's already inside your comment section. So here in a second, when we say goodbye, all you have to do is click. That's all it is. It's free, it's painless, and boy, I guarantee you, it'll be worth it. So listen, Caleb, thank you so much for all you do, and thank you for coming in and pouring into us today. We truly, truly appreciate it. Welcome back anytime, okay? Now, the rest of you, here's my challenge to you, is to get out there today. Find a little piece of your higher self. That means you need one E and one R. You're already great. Find a way to be greater. You're already kind. Find a way to be kinder. You're already bold. Find some way you can be bolder. Do that and watch what happens. And watch me tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. I'll promise to meet you, God willing, over on the front porch, where together we'll have another opportunity to pour into each other, to speak, and to share illuminated conversation right here on Bathrobe Moments. So get out, be the difference you want to see in the world. And as always, Dr. Lauren tells you, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have the best day ever. Caleb, great job, my man. Great job. See you soon. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.